Good afternoon, everybody. With all protocol observed, I would like to greet you and from wherever you are in South Africa or in the world. I would also like to thank SAACI for this wonderful opportunity to share my story. I'm Liesel Nordia. I'm from Paarl and I'm based in Klapmuts, just outside Stellenbosch. I'm an eco-product designer, a social entrepreneur, a content writer, and I'm known for my use what you have approach. The topic that I will speak about today is creativity grows more when faced with adversity. I would like to make a statement that South Africans are some of the most resourceful and creative people on earth. Do you agree? If you are South African, I see you nod. Now, what makes me the expert? Between 2008 and 2018, my family and I lost everything more than a few times. We've had to start over and over and over and over. I have learned to survive with very little resources. But in those times, I was at my most creative. So today I would like to highlight the level of innovation in poor communities and those facing adverse situations. And I want to highlight how creativity grows more in difficult circumstances. Now in 2017, I made up a word. Well, my husband claims he came up with it. And it's a dispute that we still need to sort out. But it is called innocessity. Now let's break it down. It's two words that have been combined. It's the first part of the word innovation and the latter part of the word necessity. And together, they make innocessity. And necessity, in most times, in most cases, it is ugly. It is very necessary and very practical. It's usually urgent, but it's not always socially acceptable. And you might have seen many examples of necessity, but might have ignored it because it wasn't pretty or you didn't understand the why behind it. And if you yourself haven't been in a difficult situation or in a situation where you didn't have enough resources, you might be totally oblivious to this. And in the same year, I came up with a saying, creativity grows more when faced with adversity, because this was true to myself and the situation I found myself in. Now, where do you find necessity? It's usually in poor communities or in areas where poverty is rife and crime, etc. And I'm usually fascinated by the level of innovation. And once again, I want to make the statement that I believe South Africans are among some of the most resourceful and innovative people in the world. And might I add, resilient. We are overcomers. Now, where can you find necessity? Let me show you some examples. This picture made the rounds in 2020. This is necessity at its best. This is a school from an impoverished area, G.J. Joubert School in Strand. And as you know, the pandemic was here and the kids were at home. And many children fell behind because not all schools had the resources to teach online. So this school opened and the pupils had to come in, but they needed to make the classroom safe for the children. Now, instead of waiting for better days and more resources, the school and the management improvised and they applied necessity. And the teacher that headed this project is called Angus Hartley. He built the frames and the teachers covered it with plastic. Brilliant. I absolutely love it. This is a crate chair. It's a common solution. You might see it in townships, etc. And this specific sample is made with a plastic milk crate and a broken chair. So obviously you can see the chair doesn't have any legs, and they fixed it together with cable ties. And I photographed this young lady in Paarl, where I'm from. These little towers of bricks and stones are brick chairs, and they are usually built and made by men waiting on the side of the road for a peace job. Now, if you're not South African, you might not understand this concept, but a peace job is it's symbolic of a little bit or a little job for the day. And the masses or the most of the men in South Africa unfortunately find themselves in this situation where they don't have permanent employment, and daily they go out, stand on the side of the road, and they look for a plumbing job or a carpentry job or whatever skill they have acquired. And with that money for the day, they will literally go out and buy food for that day to survive for their family and themselves. And this photo, ironically, was taken next to one of the most or the richest or affluent um, residential areas or complexes in South Africa, just outside Paarl, the Valdevi and Pearl Valley residential complexes. And yeah, this is where some of the richest of South Africa lives. And I drove past and I took this picture. I'm always fascinated by these things. And so this concept is very much in line with my philosophy of using what you have. And here are two examples of how I have applied e-necessity in my life. This was my shower in 2013. Don't laugh. We were living in Kensington in Johannesburg at the time, and there was a tiff, or an unfortunate situation happened where our landlord passed away, and the home was in between estate, and it was basically hijacked from the family, and somebody else took hold of the house. And with that came the result of unpaid rates and taxes, electricity. So we were living in the house and we didn't have access to electricity for the whole of winter 2013. Yuck. Joburg can become quite cold in winter, and we experienced it without heating. But in hindsight, it was some of the most memorable times of our lives. So basically, I refused to have or take a cowboy splash in the morning. I needed a shower and I wanted a simple solution. So I took an ice bucket, I put a shelf on the wall above the bath, I drilled a hole in the ice bucket, and I fixed a piece of the garden hose pipe to the bucket with the shower nozzle or the spray nozzle. And using what I had, I created a shower solution for my family and I, for the kids. And when the sun went down in the evening, we would boil the water on the gas stove, mix it with cold water, get the right temperature, get on top of a little chair and dump the water into the bucket. And the kids had such fun with candlelight. They would take a shower. And I promise you, a warm shower is something we take for granted, most of us. But the bulk of South Africans do not have access to a shower. And it's such a spiritual cleansing in the morning, and it's so needed. So that was an example. And fast forward to 2016, I upgraded my shower idea. We, as I mentioned earlier, lost everything a few times. So we were homeless, a few times. And we've always had a dream to build a shipping container home. But it's not just a dream, it's part of our calling. We believe that we've been called to assist, and bring solutions to the housing problem in South Africa. So in 2016, we lived in Florida. We rented a piece of, or leased a piece of land. And we didn't have the resources to complete our bathroom indoors, but the property had an outside bathroom, as you can see, just behind that little small building with the two windows. And but it wasn't connected to a geyser. So once again, we didn't have hot water. I applied the same principle, the same concept, but this time around, I bought a plastic 10-liter container. I would boil my water, mix it with cold water, dunk it into the container, and you open the tap to release the water. And guys, I still use this shower today. In 2021, there are some days, we live on a small holding, and there are days when we don't have enough pressure for the warm water to come through the geyser. And there are also days like load shedding. And earlier, was it this year or last year, the wind blew over our electricity pole, and we were without electricity for 7 days. So I was able to apply these learnings that I have gone through over the years. And as I said, some of these principles I still use today. And once again, over the years, I've been able to hone this inventive spirit, and I try and apply these principles in my craft daily. Now, let's go to lockdown 2020. All of us, were hit with the most traumatic event of our lifetime, COVID-19. Here I was, as many of you, as an entrepreneur. I had no income, the business was quiet, there was no sales happening, we weren't allowed to trade, remember? And this was a situation out of anybody's control. None of us could control it. And I've learned to just accept things that are out of my control, and just enjoy what comes with it. So I enjoyed the rest. I embraced lockdown. I am a homebody. I love being at home. So I was doing DIY projects. I was keeping myself busy, cleaning up the house and doing all the things that we never get time for. And on one of those relaxed days, I was walking around the land and I found this piece of wood, discarded wood. And immediately when I saw it, I knew that I wanted to make an African piece of African art, or the Africa map. So a few weeks later, I cut out the Africa map, and I took it a step further and I cut out a frame of the negative piece of wood that was left behind. And to cut the long story short, I posted a picture of myself on Africa Day holding this frame, and my social media started buzzing. And just once again, in a nutshell, this African range became my signature range. Still in lockdown 2020, as I said, here is some pictures of the frame. Some of my clients have sent me pictures of how it looks in their home. And it's a very popular product. It appeals to both locals as well as international tourists. It has been featured online as well as in the SA Homeowner magazine. Now, the Africa frame sold out, but nobody wanted the solid Africa, the negative that stayed behind. So these boards started piling up in my storeroom, and I had to think of a way to make it appealing enough to sell. So from this unpleasant situation, I challenged myself to think out of the box. And out came the My Africa lap desk. Currently our most popular product. It's a one-of-a-kind, unique product, and it is perfect for the season of remote working. It has been featured in online publications as well as the True Love magazine of February-March 2021. So the purpose of my business is to address the waste problem in South Africa through innovative upcycling. I want to create awareness about social problems through design. And as I am in the process of restoration, my family and I having lost everything, I believe that restoration is part of our life's work. And we want to give a voice to the poor through design. And I've built my brand using this principle. Instead of waiting for better days, I use what I have in my hand. My goal is to build a sustainable business, to employ people, but more than that, to create more entrepreneurs, fellow entrepreneurs, and to restore products, people, and families. I want to give you some takeaways from what we have discussed today. Firstly, learn to use this adverse and unfortunate situation to your advantage. Firstly, deal with the situation with a positive mindset. Accept things that are out of your control. The pandemic, none of us can control it. Take time out to rest and make space for those ideas to percolate and come to the fore. Remember, I came up with the My Africa range when I was at my most quiet. I was relaxed and I was restful. Learn to use what is available towards your success. Use what is in your hand to do what you can, and do what you can with what you have in your hand. Use creativity as a tool to success. Apply creativity and generate never seen before ideas. Never seen before ideas to benefit yourself and the broader world. Turn things on their head and view it from a different perspective. Make a decision today to use your gifting and skill to make a difference and share it with the world. I would like to thank you for listening to me and my story, and I hope that this story of hope has inspired you. And let's build South Africa through necessity, through innovation, and let's keep South Africa clean. Thank you so much.